Hello and welcome back, all my Dragon Ball theorists. One of the things about the Moro arc I enjoyed was we got a glimpse into the past of the Grand Supreme Kai and his capabilities. He wasn't just the benevolent leader the Supreme Kai told us about. In fact, he might have been the strongest and most powerful Kai to ever live. Wait, hold up, it's clearly stated that the South Supreme Kai is the strongest, and well, that was true 5 million years ago as the story unfolded in Dragon Ball Z, where Shin told us the South Kai was the strongest fighter amongst the Kais. The West and North Kais were easily defeated by Kid Buu, but the South Kai actually was able to hold his own for a bit, then ripping off the arm of Buu. However, with Kid Buu's hacks and regeneration, the South Kai would be the first to fall to his absorption technique. This would leave a young Shin helpless against the onslaught of huge Buu, but the Grand Supreme Kai would step in to save him. Shin was surprised at the Lord of Lords' abilities and attacks, and while they were impressive, eventually Buu would also absorb the Daikaio, giving us the Fat Buu we are most familiar with, who took on his kind-hearted traits, making his personality childlike. What I find interesting is 10 million years ago, long before Kid Buu, the South Kai was the attendant of the Grand Supreme Kai, and it was up to them to put a stop to Moro's rampage through the galaxy. After Moro absorbed energy from another planet, the South Kai realized if his power grows any further, we'll be helpless to resist. Now it was up to the Grand Supreme Kai to do something about Moro's magic, but it would require using up his god power in a special technique that even the South Kai wasn't aware of. This is why he was the Lord of Lords, or highest of the Supreme Kais, as he created this technique in case he needed it one day, a technique that is far too dangerous to teach anyone else. As the South Kai looked on in disbelief, unable to help telling his teacher to not put so much strength into it, the Grand Supreme Kai fired his Kai Mataro attack at Moro. So the great Lord of Lords gave up most of his godly power in this encounter to seal away Moro's magic. Meaning when Buu came around 5 million years later, now the South Kai was the strongest and the Grand Supreme Kai didn't have the bulk of his god power or techniques to defend the Kai homeworld against Buu. But what if he did? If Moro never happened and the Grand Supreme Kai had his full god power and arsenal of techniques at its disposal, would Buu have been defeated and Bibidi's plans been ended right there? As we know from DBZ, Buu is one of the most unique characters in terms of abilities and power we ever seen. Being able to withstand nearly any attack and instantly regenerate, his awkward fighting style and incredible power he taps into with unlimited stamina can frustrate just about any foe. Even if you are on par with Buu's power, as we seen when Super Saiyan 3 Goku was fighting him on the Kai homeworld, he can still frustrate you and just wear you out, unless you have some massive key attack that can completely erase Buu. It's been debated whether Goku could actually do something like this in Super Saiyan 3 as he claimed. We know Vegeta fell short with his last massive attack, sacrificing himself, and eventually it would be the Spirit Bomb that had the proper amount of energy to completely eradicate this difficult villain. Personally, I don't believe Super Saiyan 3 Goku could have killed Buu, and that is why his trusty go-to signature move in the Spirit Bomb was required. Maybe I will explore this in depth in another video. Then we didn't even cover the fact that Buu has his magic to turn someone into candy. I do believe this is the main reason Buu was sidelined for the Tournament of Power. I think most of us were pretty excited to see Fit Buu, but it would have been a writing nightmare in an already complex tournament of 80 fighters from 8 universes. Buu could literally just turn Dispo or Topo into candy and throw them off the stage. It's these types of hacks that if you aren't prepared for, make Buu a constant threat even if you are more powerful. Buu being a magical creature that has existed since time immemorial can cause all types of enemies trouble, and we saw this again in the Galactic Patrol arc against Moro when the Grand Supreme Kai took over his body. Completely unorthodox attacks left Moro at a complete disadvantage since he was immune to his magic absorption, then could take attacks that would kill anyone else and just regenerate. I gotta be honest, I didn't like Buu as a villain the first time around in DBZ, but he kinda grows on you with the sheer craziness of what he can do. However, I do believe things would have been drastically different if the Grand Supreme Kai had kept his god powers and not used them up in this attack against Moro. I believe that the Lord of Lords would have been proactive and showed up to stop Buu and Bibidi soon as they arrived, just like he was 10 million years ago against Moro, which means the North and West Kai wouldn't have died and Buu never would have been able to absorb the South Kai. It's likely both the South and Grand Supreme Kai would have teamed up like before and devised a plan right there to put an end to Buu's terror. We saw how well the South Kai did alone against Buu, with an even more powerful Grand Supreme Kai leading the fight. I do like those odds. It is also likely that the main attack that was used against Moro could have been used against Buu in order to seal him away. Then the South Kai could wrap things up and dispatch Bibidi. Of course, if Buu felt cornered and was losing, he would likely try to turn one of them into candy like we saw when Good Buu was fighting Evil Buu. However, Evil Buu was completely prepared and redirected the magical attack, which we saw the Grand Supreme Kai also do something similar without the bulk of his god power in their original encounter, so I do think he could nullify this terrifying ability. Not to mention, we don't know what other types of attacks the Grand Supreme Kai could do with his god powers intact. Remember how fierce and difficult Moro was for Goku and Vegeta, and yet the only one Moro ever feared was the Great Lord of Lords. All of these types of attacks would have had a lot more power behind them, and he actually might be able to damage Buu. The Lord of Lords was a genius and able to create unique attacks to keep the universe safe at all costs for millions of years. I think he would have been able to give Buu a run for his money even better than Goku did with Super Saiyan 3. However, that is only due to his knowledge and able to wield magical attacks to potentially do more damage to Buu instead of just straight up power and ki to try and annihilate him. At the end of the day, that is why I think the Genki Dama or Spirit Bomb was so effective. It was more so the attack than trying to outpower Buu. Obviously, if either the South or Grand Supreme Kai let their guard down for even one moment, they risk absorption or losing to Buu. However, I personally think that if the Lord of Lords never used the bulk of his god power up 10 million years ago against Moro, that Bibidi and Buu would have been stopped when they attacked the Kais right then and there. Let's face it, the Grand Supreme Kai was a beast, and I would love to see what he can really do. Maybe someday we will get another glimpse of his abilities if he takes over Buu's body again. Now tell me, who do you think would have won in this battle between Buu and the Grand Supreme Kai if he kept his god powers? As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share it and smash that like button. Also, please subscribe to support the channel and turn on that notification bell to keep those theories coming.